S&P held a critical level. NASDAQ is holding major support. NVIDIA dropped and then formed on an almost perfect bullish pattern. We're going to get into that. Tesla reversal and why this is bullish. KBH earnings after hours and what the stock is doing. Smart money, dumb money at the most extreme readings and what this means. It's not what you think. SOX breaks 500. SoftBank continues to push. Small caps hang in there. S&P cumulative AD line. Got some questions from comments yesterday, and I'd like to answer them. We have a ton to go over. Let's get to it. So let's start with the obvious. Number one, the S&P futures. You came right back down in your testing. This is a 9 EMA line. We're sitting right on it now. What would concern me? Number one, the fact that we are here, and we can see that pretty clearly. Now, one of the key things that we are seeing here is we're holding that 9 pretty well. The RSI is rolling, so you are getting back under that 70 line right there, and that is important. That is a short-term sell signal to me. Now, we've talked about this ad nauseum, and we talked about the fact that we are due for a pullback. If you have not watched Saturday's video, I strongly suggest you watch it. Go through the timestamps. There's a spot in there where I talk about the probability of a correction and how deep that correction can be. And we went over that Tuesday yesterday a little bit as well. So all these videos are connected. So if you're interested in actionable information that is up to date, you're going to want to subscribe to the channel and click all notifications. What we go over here is very real. It's not theory. So here we are, and we're sitting right there. Now, that's not ideal, right? Because we're sitting here. Now, let's go through this so that we're all on the same page. This is the weekly, okay? And when the weekly pops over, well, we stay over for a period of time. It's very rare to pop over on a weekly. As a matter of fact, there is somebody that I was talking to, and they actually use it as a long-term buy signal when this pops over 70. Because you don't stay up there for, this is very rare that you're going to stay up there for a day or a week or two. And then what happened is you can see how we followed through for a year. And I do agree with their assessment on that. I don't use it that way, but I understand their assessment. And if I squeeze this back for a little bit and we just roll back, let's go back to like 2099, I think it'll go back to. You can see the biggest runs, we were always above on the RSI. It's gonna be a little squeezy back there on the bottom, but you get it. And you can see these were the biggest runs. And eventually they're the biggest runs till they're not the biggest runs. What I tend to do is not so much use it for that, but it just tells me the health of where we are and then where we could get to. And I'll give you another example on a monthly here. Let's get rid of this so we can drill into this. What I also use, just very quickly, is I will use this 50 as a demarcation line. And very clear, if you are below the 50, you are underperform on the weekly or daily, right? You are underperform, period. When you are above the 50, you will outperform. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. You should be able to see this very, very clearly, right? But this is something you could use as a metric. Now, before we go further on what to expect this week, just take a look at this monthly so you can see why I'm so bullish. But I'm bullish long term. I'm not bullish for Thursday, Friday. We went into this Saturday, the differentiations between short-term, medium-term, long-term, and how you need to think to be successful in the current market environment. So here you are and you're wedged in here, right? So let's pull this back. Let's take a look at that level right there. And you can see very clear what's happening. Well, when we get to that 50 since 2016, what's happening? We're bouncing. We bounced here. We bounced here and during the pandemic. And guess where we're bouncing again? Here, okay? All three of these marked a multi-year bottom. I want to go through that because I want you to understand that before I get into the next thing. And I'm going to say it one more time. All three of these marked a multi-year bottom. I could go back a decade and 2 decades and show you how it flipped here, and that marked the 2003 bottom. I could spend time and go here and show you how it marked the bottom of the financial crisis, but we don't have that kind of time. Hopefully you get that joke. So here we are, and let's flip to the daily now and get into it. So here we are, right? We're going to watch 43.22. Could we get there? Yes. We have not broken anything major. Nothing. People are going to start looking at something like this on the 5. We're going to stick really closely with dailies today, I think. Let's use that open, high, low, close so we can actually see what's going on. This is going to get a lot of the short-term traders like feeling kind of iffy. And this is exactly what I want, blood in the streets, because they're going to be really uncomfortable that you're here. So most swing traders, and you can listen to any numerous amount of them on YouTube or Twitter, they're just not even going to go near the market right now. Okay, futures are below the 5. They're going to look at this and go, I'm not touching the market or new positions till I'm above the 5. That's not how I trade. I understand and I respect their metrics, and I understand and respect what they're doing. That's not what I'm going to do. So then you just want to click through it and go SPSX. Yep, same thing. Then look at the SPY. Did it do the same thing? Yep, did it yesterday, okay? So we are below the 5-day moving average. People use that as a metric. The SPY is clearly below on the 70 here. That is a sell signal, medium term, but that doesn't mean that we're going to fall off a cliff. What I would suggest that you do, and what we do in the Alpha Chasers community, is we look at the hourly. So I want to see what's going on the hourly. Now, the hourly to me, there's a couple things that I will use. So, and I showed you guys this on Saturday, and I'll show it to you again. So I have this cloud formation that I use, and it is somewhat proprietary to me anyway. So I try not to give the actual dimension. So what I will say is this. I will say that this is a 20 EMA line, and I would suggest that you put a 20 EMA line on your hourly chart. You might want to listen to that again. It is working like clockwork. Okay, it is literally working like clock. You could look at this chart and see how this is working. A matter of fact, let's do this. Let's go onto this cloud so you can take one thing away today if you take nothing else, and we'll put those clouds back on, and now you saw my numbers. So now if you look at this, you can see the 20 EMA, right? You see that line, that 20 hourly EMA number? Okay, look at this. Look at this. I love when people tell me technical analysis doesn't work. Tell me again. You can actually put that in the comments and I'll just laugh. So you can just see how this is just, you're constantly riding it. Flips it, what happens? The biggest move you had. Breaks below it, what happens? The biggest fallout you had. Overlay this with the cloud formation, right? And go from there. Now, the green cloud is the long cloud. The purple neon green is the short cloud. Now, if you come here and you pull these out, okay, and you look at where we've been. Well, this is where we were from June 8th. We never flipped. Okay, here's a small spot. So this is rare that we've seen this yellow. Now, I did show this on a couple long-term time frames, like on a weekly, so people could kind of understand just how insane this period of time was, right? Even during the pandemic, you didn't have this kind of carnage that you had during 22. And that's why everybody's still shell-shocked, right? But we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. I want to get back to the hourly and focus on what to do tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun to trade. So you can see that line and how you're riding down here. See how you're flipping that yellow? So I gave these levels yesterday. And if you watched yesterday's video and you wrote down those levels, you did fairly well today, right? Because you were unable to get above them, right? This was the very first level that we talked about yesterday, 4445 actually, okay? We came right to it, and guess what? You couldn't get through today, okay? That was at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, test, never was able to do it. Does not get any cleaner. You should be able to see that breakout right there on 4404 and how we tested it 1, 2, 3, 4 times today. All right. So you're going to want to watch that tomorrow. Now, if I am to look at this, and I'm going to look at the hourly, I'm going to clean all my drawings off. We're going to get rid of the cloud. And what we're going to do is just look at this and go, okay, well, what is the issue? Well, here's your issue. I just stated that the greatest moves happen when we're over 50 on the RSI. We're not overbought anymore, guys. We're oversold, and we're having a hard time getting above the 50. So until that happens, right, until you really get above that 50 here, you're probably not going to break above those other metrics that I just walked you through. So I would watch this. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, RSI doesn't work. If you're interested in learning about it, I did not have the time today to do it, to put it together, candidly, because of trading. But I walked through this today in the room, and it was absolutely glaring. We stayed out of the way, off the open in the video, and we talked about this level. I'll show it to you right here. I mean, it was absolutely glaring. Where was it? It's right here. And so we started talking about this area right here, and it's more of an area, right? Saying that this could be a possible bounce spot. If this is of interest to learn how to do this, please comment below, and I will put this in tomorrow's video. I'll have the time tomorrow. So you know you're hitting a place of interest, right? Just like you know the bottom of that wick was a place of interest, right? You can see the battle, that what happened there, the retest and the lift. Okay, so you know that this is a place of interest, right? So now that you know where your place of interest is, let me clean these off and then I'll mark it that way so that you can see it. All right, so you know that this little area right here is your place of interest because you're using that low and you're using this high, right? Resistance becomes what? Support. Okay, resistance becomes support, right? So we can all see this. And this is important for you to get because you're going to be seeing this for years, in my opinion, 1 to 2 years. So now you have a 5-minute chart. You see that? Okay, so you make a lower low right there. Okay, and I'll play the live video so you know I'm not just back testing or showing you previously. See that divergence? See the low of NVIDIA? Okay. This is when we knew that we might be bottoming. And then there were some other technical indicators that we used to determine that. And this gave 3 or 4 signals today that were buys. Now, they don't always work this well, but you're going to have to get used to trading like this. And why we're here with NVIDIA, if you want to trade, if you want to position build, if you want to swing trade, you need to go and watch what I just walked through because you can replicate that. It's something you can do over and over again, right? You don't want to just buy something, get lucky because some guy, you know, with a JPEG told you to buy something. Like that's not sustainable, right? I've been on this bashing NFT kick lately. So, and if you like NFTs, you do not have to comment below. So anyway, see this level right here? Are we going to get there? No, I don't think that we are. So what's this bullish pattern that I'm talking about today, right? That everyone's trying to figure out, what am I talking about? Okay, here's your breakout bar. Did you close below your breakout? I don't care where I am after hours. After hours is nonsense. It's a way for them to take money out of your pocket. Did we break below the breakout bar? No. Okay. So number one, we did not break below the breakout bar. Did we close below the doji? No. Let's blow this up. Let's have some fun. Did we close below the doji? No. Okay. Did we close 50% down on the bar? No. Matter of fact, 50% down would have been that level right there. Okay. So in other words, what you have here is something that looks bearish, that isn't. Remember, wicks are what? Price rejection. So what did they decide to do here? Not sell their stock. Okay, if you think that the stock, just so we're real clear on this, you don't have $1.7 trillion in the market anymore, guys. Okay, so what does that mean? That means you're going to have huge volatility that you guys are not used to if you haven't traded before the Fed intervened in 2012. You are used to a backstop. You're used to the Fed buying bonds. Those days are over. You're never going to see that again. Well, who knows? I shouldn't say that. I sound like yelling. But you get what I'm saying, right? The stage has changed, right? Never say never. So you see this level right here. And here's my point. Let's pull this over for a second, right? Here's NVIDIA and the names I'm watching on the watch list. We go through in the pre-market. 1.74% I was down today in this trade. 1.7%, right? I just walked you through how you could pick off and trade and position build. And on top of that, just from that one thing I just walked through, how you could utilize that. Now, if you take a look at this, is this something that I need to panic about? What about that? If I take a step back from 34,000 feet and just look at that for a second, what's the panic? Where's my panic? Am I supposed to get panicked over that? Because I couldn't close below the 5-day, right? So in other words, we're going to watch all these people talk about how this, quote, correction today, and this is not a correction, guys. This is a sneeze. You could have a couple days of this. We've been talking about this. I don't think it's going to be any deeper than 5%. And I walked through that yesterday, and I'll explain why again. But probably, historically, it's been around 4%. But if you look at that move, okay, just from that rip, you're up 43%. 43% since May, right? So then you go back and you take a look at the index and go, okay, well, here we are, May. Where are we now? Okay, NASDAQ's up 10% since then. I'm up 4x or 5x the NASDAQ, and I dropped relatively the same amount. If that doesn't tell you what relative strength NVIDIA has, nothing will. So to me, I still have a flag. Nothing's changed about my flag at all. A matter of fact, when I look at this and I'm looking after hours, and I do think that we could just have some kind of flush tomorrow where we see some kind of panic when people start looking at their stocks this evening and they say, quote, I knew it, that kind of stuff. I have a flag and I'm not out of my flag at all. So the next move that's going to happen here is, let's look at this on the hourly. And what were we talking about earlier with RSI 50, right? What did we say earlier? There it is. So I know we want to get into names, but I do think some of this education linked with actionable ideas is a good idea. If you feel that way, please comment below. Seriously, all comments, even the JPEG comments about NFTs, it does help me learn. Remember, I'm in my 40s, so I'm a boomer. They're boomers, right? Is that a boomer? 40s? Anyway, here's the level, and you can see the flip right there on the hourly, right? I mean, this is a perfect what? If you know your positions and how that is, that's a perfect morning star. And then you flipped. And there it is, boom. And then you went up, retested, and now maybe you're going to come back down. Maybe not, but you know what? The moment that you are above this bar and you clear that nasty red bar, 436.45, you might want to write that down and you might want to watch that level tomorrow. And it just happens that that bar coincides with us bouncing off of what? The 50. So if you're going to watch NVIDIA, maybe watch it on an hourly chart tomorrow. Maybe watch the 50 RSI and watch to see if we break that 50 RSI, right? And maybe wait and see if we get above 436.45. They might be a couple things that you might want to watch tomorrow. Okay. Now, Tesla, for some reason, I'm supposed to be upset that it's down today. I don't know why. If you're long this stock and you're in this since, I don't know, we can go back to January. Why not, right? And you're in this stock, I'm supposed to be upset that it's up 143% and it pulled back 5. Okay. Could this be a top? Sure. Absolutely. We are really overbought up here. Look at this. But you know what? It can stay up here for weeks. And until I start cracking that 70 like we did here, I don't know that it's going to underperform. I could, if you think it's so easy, that it's so obvious that you're going to underperform, go ahead and short it and let me know how that goes, right? We'll have a bunch of people that'll tell me that they shorted it today. Okay. But bottom line, let's be realistic about it, right? You're going to short this now, right? You're going to short that. I mean, in other words, the only day that you could have possibly shorted that is when? Today, right? And if you're going to do that, and that's going to be a system that you're going to try to build around, you're going to have a really tough time as a trader. I'm just telling you ahead of time. You can see your level here. It's marked very clearly, 264. Watch that tomorrow. Should you break the low tomorrow and gap down, which you absolutely can do, I would expect a flush. I would expect some kind of flush in the trade. People are going to short it. I have zero interest in that. I want to build positions. Nothing would make me happier than this to drop another 25, 30 points so I could build a position in it. That's where my head is right now on the market as a whole. I think I've been pretty vocal about that. I see no reason to change my opinion. Pullbacks are opportunities. They are not crashes. No one is worried about inflation anymore. Despite what they're trying to feed you, no one is worried about it anymore. Okay? It is very clear if you read any kind of real investment research, they are not worried about it anymore. KBH had earnings after hours. Surprise, surprise, 24% beat in revenue, 46% beat in earnings. Decent guidance. I haven't listened to the call because I'm making this video right now. I would not play around with this, and I would also make sure that you get our newsletter. It's free, link in description. I had a couple of people reach out that want to write articles that have specialties that I don't have in biotech and things like that. They're going to write about certain drugs that are going to come out, things like that. So make sure you get it. It's all going to be free. And I think it's a great way for me to add value to everyone. So keep that in mind. But you see what's happening right here. I think you're going to push up to the 61 level. I've been talking about the home builders forever. I would watch these. I would start doing your research on SoftBank and venture capital funds and incubators and look into what's going on there. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You can see your line right here, extremely thin. You could come in any day and have it up or down 10%. These are the kinds of names during the .com that absolutely exploded. This name is setting up very, very nicely. The question is, do I get a chance at a better price? And I don't know right now. I don't know how deep that pullback's going to be, right? So if we take a look at that and we start going through this, right? Now, there's a couple other things here that I thought were just absolutely fascinating. So this company is getting sued because somehow Amazon tricked people into Prime, which is probably the best thing that ever happened to them, quite frankly. I hate to, be like tout about the company, but really, that's what they're going to go after. So don't get me started. Anyway, see that level right there? You're going to want to watch that. You're setting up a flag, guys. I mean, you might not see it, but there's a flag there. We are below here, okay? And when you make a lower low, after you make that lower low and you undercut, that is a negative divergence. So we might grind back down and retest this level, but this should have gotten crushed today. Instead, I'm down 70 basis points. I'm hardly down, guys. That's impressive. And I'm not even down that much on the XLY today. Not at all compared to where we are. And then you're seeing bottom feeders. Alta is one of the names that we're in. It's doing very nicely. And I would tell you to start looking at these kinds of names. Race is another one that we're in, all-time highs, all-time high close rather. So retail, do not rule that out. I know it's not as exciting, but something to think about. Let's talk about Tesla and levels. So you should be able to see this level very clearly, 264, okay? All I want you to do is remember that level and what's going on there. We're going to drop this in so everyone can hem and haul that you're at the 5, and know that the majority of retail swing traders will not go near that because of that, right? They'll actually sell it. So you can have a flush tomorrow and set up, okay? You could have a flush tomorrow and set up, all right? Something to think about. It can happen. Now, other than that, I think there's a couple other key issues that we really need to address, but I want to walk through this first. So this is the S&P cumulative line, and I do get a lot of questions in the comments. I'm actually thinking of just doing a, like an ask Q&A where I just answer questions. Comment on that if you think it'd be helpful. I could probably do that one evening instead, or maybe once a month we could do something like that, because I get a lot of questions that I never really get the chance to work in, and I'd like to start doing more of that. I think because it helps me understand what type of information to provide. Hope that makes sense. So you look at this S&P cumulative AD line. Now, what this means and what this does is relatively simple. You see this right here? You're at all-time highs on the cumulative AD line. The market is not at all-time highs. That is a positive divergence. It is going to be very difficult to have the advanced decline cumulative average hitting all-time highs and the market to have a massive correction. So while I think that there is that possibility that we talked about on Saturday, there is a correction out there, and we talked about the magnitude of that kind of correction that could happen. Then we talked about this and said, this is telling you that it might not be that bad. Well, if you think 3, 4, 5% is a bad correction, it's nothing, right? I think every 2 years, you'd have to go back historically and look at what I'm about to say. Maybe I can do it for Saturday's video. I think it's something like every year and a half, there's a solid, 10% correction. And maybe we get that. I don't think we do, but I do think that we're going to get a 5% correction. So you're going to want to look at this, and you're going to want to pay attention to it, and I'll keep monitoring it, but nothing's changed here. And I think that this is telling you that if the cumulative advanced decline keeps getting better, let's pull this down, and let's do smart money, dumb money, confidence, and then we'll do the spread. But I think it's really important for us to get some of these. This is Sediment Trader. Right here, you can say it. And let's go through this so we all understand this. So here we are, smart money, dumb money. We don't call it that. Institutions, retail. People are DMing me that are in the group saying I don't have to say it anymore. Everybody knows that it's institutions and retail that follows these videos. Comment below on that. I think the newer people need to know how we view smart money, dumb money, and we view smart money as institutions and dumb money as retail. And the differentiation there is that means that it doesn't mean that this is smart money and dumb money. It just means that this is different pools of capital, and this is what they're doing. This is one of the widest divergences that you have ever had, okay? This is one of the widest divergences you have ever had. How much lower do you think institutions are going to go? Okay, let's take a look at this. Where are we? We are at a 0.16, and we're at a 0.8 on dumb money. Okay, so I would have to come to here and find 0.15. Okay, so if I go through this, let's go back 5 years and see if we can find the pandemic level. So that would be right here. All right, so 0.16, and then we'll come back down here again. So I just want to point out and be Captain Obvious, okay? See the high here? See the low here? Okay, look at the spread of what's happened here, okay? Look at that spread, all right? What happened to the market from there? I don't know, went on a tear for a year, it looks like to me, right? So when you have these wide spreads, the majority of people are going to disseminate this information and look at it and not truly understand what smart money is and what dumb money is. And you spending the time to actually understand what you're looking at and critically think, instead of going out there and just regurgitating information, that's going to make all the difference in the world in your trading right now. Because we are set up like that stool. We are set up with the three-legged stool, which I will not bore people again with. But you see these levels? You're setting up the same exact way you were setting up back here 5 years ago. It's the same. It's actually more extreme is where we're heading right now, if you take a look at this. So I don't really know how to be any clearer. It is not this, okay? It is not where smart money's maxed out, okay? Institutions are gonna have to buy. How many people think institutions are gonna go in front of their clients and say, oh, we didn't buy NVIDIA because we don't think AI is gonna be a thing? You think you're gonna get a lot of that right now? You're not gonna get any of that. You're gonna see panic. But that doesn't mean that we can't flush first. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that makes you understand where my head is. I do want to go through some of this. When you see these cracks, you watch them. You wait for them to set up and you go after them again, okay? It's really important that you understand the smart money, dumb money. If people didn't believe AI was going up, would they be buying incubator companies that are beaten down that nobody's paying attention to right now? They would not be buying the incubator companies, would they? Right? Something to think about. Why are they buying this company? Because nobody's paying attention to it today. Because everybody's worried, like myself, about NVIDIA and everything else, right? So if you take a look at this, I would definitely focus that way. I would definitely focus on those names. And the one thing that I would take away with, you really want to watch what happens with the stocks. This is important. And it doesn't mean that the stocks is going to lead, but I am making a lower low here. And I did make a lower low. And that does mean that I'm in a position here where I could have some issues, okay? It doesn't mean that I'm not going to trade higher, but I do have a negative divergence. This is a true negative divergence on the stocks, right? Because I cleared the lower low. Doesn't mean it's going to hold, but I do have a true negative divergence. That is very different than this piece of TA I saw put out, technical analysis, put out where they were trying to explain that this is a negative divergence. And the only thing that shows me is that people have no idea what the heck they're talking about, okay? You can't have that until you undercut. If you don't undercut, you don't know that that's going to roll under. You don't have a clue. And the person that acted on that today might be kicking themselves in about 2 to 3 days. That's it.